beginning of March. Thank you for those that have joined us this evening. I'd like to note that Board Member Mark Branson is not here, but we still have a quorum this evening. So, is Stephanie here? No? Okay. Got it. Thank you. All right, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now needing approval for this evening's tentative agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Melissa Curtis, seconded by Casey Root. All of in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Motion passes 5-0. All right, we have no registered citizen comments for this evening. So we are moving on now to our item number 5, fiscal stability, our consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Melissa Curtis, seconded by Casey Root. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Motion passes 5-0. On to item number 6, collaborative connections. Item A, resolution for acceptance of gifts. I'm going to pass it over to Superintendent Eric Olson.
All right, I have 3 to bring forward here tonight. The first one is from Peacemaker, Minnesota, $2,600 to fund a climb theater performance for the 6th grade assembly. We have Moon Motorsports bringing forth $500 for the Monticello fishing team, and then also UMC, $1,000 for the Monticello fishing team sponsorship. Once again, love to absolutely thank the community for their support of all of these student programs that we're so proud of. That support goes a long way in making sure that our kids have new opportunities and better opportunities. I'll let Board Member Hagley read the resolution for acceptance.
Therefore, be resolved by the Monticello School Board number 882 to gratefully accept the following donations. Peacemaker, Minnesota, $2,600 to fund a climb theater performance for the 6th grade assembly. Moon Motorsports, $500 for the Monticello fishing team sponsorship. And UMC, $1,000 for Monticello fishing team sponsorship.
Second.
Moved by Jeff Hegley, seconded by Melissa Curtis. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Motion passes 5-0. And once again, you know, board meeting after board meeting, I'm absolutely blown away at how much our community gives back to our programs and making that happen. You know, the Monticello fishing team has just been such an incredible program. In fact, one of my neighbor's son's going to join it for the first time this year, which is pretty cool. But it's a great alternative program that's there that wouldn't be possible without the sponsorships from our community members. So thank you. All right, on to the most important part of the evening, I think, or fun part, is our student representatives report. So help me welcome to the podium Natasha Fortsey and Jordy Gertz to give us a report.
For having us here today. We love being here and we get great feedback about being able to share what's going on inside of the high school. So this is our last week of our second trimester with one trimester left to go in the year. We're fully wrapping up with finals, projects, and essays in all of our classes, especially those that are ending in this trimester that don't carry over into the third trimester. So in the mindset of our students, you know, it's a lot of focus going on, just grinding out the last work needed to be done in our classes to make sure that assignments are done on time, making sure all work is caught up on, and any tests or other assignments that need to be made up before the end of the trimester is done. So there's a lot of hard work going on in our student body. Our high school students have registered for classes next year, as well as our current 8th graders are working on that process of registering for high school with their M&M teachers currently. Outside the classroom, there have been some exciting opportunities, field trips such as the physics, careers, and the upcoming FACS field trip coming up is super awesome opportunities for our students to just get out of the classroom and get that real world experience, as well as our pep band and music department has been able to get the pep band out to hockey games and basketball games. And so it's been super fun to be at those games and the community to see what our music department can do to help our athletics department.
So like Jordia said, we are wrapping up this trimester. However, we do have a couple of events coming up at our high school. We have on March 19th, the ACT coming up for any interested juniors taking that for their college prep. And then we also have coming up at the high school, we have the Cool School Polar Plunge, which works to raise money for our unified program as well as for Special Olympics Minnesota. So that's really cool. And then lastly, we just want to give some shout outs to some athletics and activities. Our gymnastics team won state championship as a team, as well as one of the senior captains won as a state individual. She won state champion, Lauren Hansen. We have girls and boys basketball playing section games this week. We have a number of individuals who competed at state tournaments, swimming, diving, and wrestling. And then we also have a wrestling heavyweight, I want to make sure I say this right, heavyweight division state champion, Garrett Bauer. And then finally, our Knowledge Bowl placed 4th place last week at sub-regional tournaments. So all of that is very cool. Do you guys have any questions for us about anything going on?
Board members, do we have any questions? I know I saw pictures of the Knowledge Bowl that happened with Resource Training and Solution. Do you know how many participants we had by off chance? No, not off. Okay. 6. Okay. Really neat. So really cool to hear that. All right. Well, thank you. We appreciate the update. All right. Now we'll move on to item number 7, teaching and learning. We'll bring up to the podium Monticello High School principals Lori Hansen and Matt Cowell to go over a course approval.
Good evening. Thank you for giving us a few minutes up here. The student reps didn't mention the fact that the Polar Plunge is open to board members, and it's a thrilling experience. We've done it a couple different times, and it does get your attention. So it's for a very good cause, of course. Our unified program is very strong and very passionate, and all of them will obviously be participating. So we didn't want you to feel like it was exclusive. It isn't. Anyone can jump in, literally. Well, just a few minutes here. We have another new course request for the high school, and this one would fit under our healthcare pathway. It's another one we want in our back pocket in the case that some stars align and we can make it happen. And we'll talk a little bit about some contingencies here as we go. So one of the first ones is we don't know who the teacher will be just yet. The course will be at an Intro to Sports Medicine, and we're working a couple different angles with it. We're hoping that our athletic trainer, Courtney Zamora, will seriously entertain it, and she is teaching the course. We're working with NovaCare there, and she's working with Becca Kunkel to get her license to be able to teach this course. She's maybe interested because she might have other opportunities within her current job. But that's one person that may teach it, or we may have some of our current high school staff teaching it. But as you can see, we would hopefully be able to roll this out next year. 3rd try is what we're shooting for. It would just be a 1-trimester elective. And a number of students have a very strong relationship and work with Courtney through their athletic teams and the weight room and the training. And so there is quite a bit of interest, just generally through the connection she's made. And we know that there are a number of students, when we survey them, that are interested in the healthcare field, generally speaking. So you combine our strong numbers in athletics and the healthcare pathway, you know that this would be a popular course. Looking at the details here, we had Becca Kunkel has worked really hard with this particular course. There was a grant opportunity through Resources Training and Solutions, and you can see the number up there, about a $9,100 grant that we wrote and we won, and that then was able to outfit us with all of the materials to run the course. And so the idea is to be as cost neutral, obviously, as we can. We're very aware of budget. We want to provide that opportunity for students in a way that we don't have to dip into other classes or departments. So we have $9,100 to work with. We've ordered textbooks. They're on hold. They're waiting this approval. And then we've gone through our inventory of what we think we would need in the athletic department, in the training department, and we have a long list of things that we would order if we can get approval tonight with this class. So a number of consumables when you think about the athletic training world, and it goes hand in hand with Courtney's job or role. So that's our brief proposal. Any questions?
It's already answered on your slide, but I was going to ask if this is a CTE offering, which is really neat because it keeps kids in school and gives them what they're looking for.
Right inside that and fit under our current CTE track. Yep, so when we tentative approval, we would build it within the CTE framework as well.
Any other questions from the board on this class? All right, and was this the only class you're asking for approval of this evening? Okay, this is an action item.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Melissa Curtis, seconded by Mary Bartel. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Motion passes 5-0. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, now we'll move on to innovation, leadership, and staff shout-outs. How about we just do in reverse order and just keep both of you here for the Monticello High School, Lori Hansen and Matt Cowell, and then we'll move on then to the middle school with Principal Jess Scherber.
We're here to shout out our Monticello High School math department. They're in a curriculum review cycle this year, so that means they're digging into student data, new standards, realignment, piloting 2 current curriculums, really to ensure that they lay out a very strong track for our math students to really grow, succeed, and accelerate their math goals. The math department includes Kristen Schenzer, Jess Tieglin, Eric Hansen, Nate Rangel, Aaron Roniak, Jordan Geertz, Zach Loff, Emily McAlpine, and Maureen Simonich. And it's been a tremendous lift for all of that department. And so it felt remiss to us just not to take a moment and just acknowledge the work and everything above and beyond just a normal school year. And they've done a tremendous job. So our Monticello High School math department today.
And then I've got another one here. I'm going to keep you in a little bit of suspense and just describe this person, and then Jeff will help fill in the blanks a little bit more. So this person is in the room. We'll start there. I won't tell you who it is. Very supportive and relational. This person's a very strong leader that we all have had a lot of interaction with. Uncanny ability to be zoomed out and see the big picture, meanwhile being able to be zoomed right into individuals. Like I said, very relational. I personally have worked with this person through a number of problems in our jobs and our roles, and I would say that this person is a very strong problem solver and a roadblock remover. That's a word. This person's known for egg bake. It's almost like we come to wait and hope that egg bake is present at some of our meetings. Very, very strong motivator, and I think all of us have worked through situations where we have taken for granted the strong relationship and relational leadership style this person has. So last thing I say is we often hear the words, "we got this," and it's never a "you got this," it's always a "we." So we've appreciated the fact that this person works with us through so many of our concerns, problems, and victories.
Thanks, Matt. I just want to thank the school board for an opportunity for a shout out here for our superintendent, Eric Olson. Eric was recently the recipient of Regional Administrators Excellence Award. Eric's a pretty humble guy. I know this is hard on him for here, but for the past 8 years, Eric has served as our superintendent, and for the last 21 years, Eric and I have worked together. Eric, it's been a privilege to watch you grow and evolve as a leader, continuing learning and adapting and strengthening your ability to serve students and staff. Consistently led with integrity and passion, always putting the needs of this district before himself, and I think we all know that. If we know Eric, that statement is very true. He's worked tirelessly to build a culture of lasting partnerships throughout our community. Because of this commitment and collaboration and relationships, our district is more connected, more supported, and stronger than ever. He's truly a heart-centered leader. I heard that from a number of different people. If there's a leader that leads from the heart, it's Eric Olson, someone who leads with care, vision, and unwavering dedication. Eric, it's safe to say that this district is very grateful for you and all you've done from the perspective of our community, our students, and our staff. And from a very personal level, we are better off because of your leadership. On behalf of everyone, we want to say thank you. Congratulations, Eric Olson.
I like the picture, too.
So I just need to say, you guys beat us to the punch. We weren't planning on recognizing this achievement until the next board meeting, so thank you. But just to prove the fact of, it's not even within this district, but I had other superintendents who applied for our superintendent vacancy reach out to me that our superintendent received this award and wanted to make sure, because they knew he wouldn't tell us about it, that we knew that he received this award, which was pretty cool. And so I'd really like to just echo all of the kind things you just said about his amazing leadership capabilities and styles, and how good it's set our district up for the future. And so you've been awesome, and it's a well-deserved award. Board members, anything else to add?
No, that's good. We're good.
All right.
Can I shout out a few middle school staff as well? Or Casey, I think you were.
Say we'll get Eric next time.
Yeah. Yep.
I just wanted to share a little bit about, we have two middle school members that we want to give a shout out to, Franny Pearson and Joy Hausman. These two stepped up in a time of need. Their outstanding leadership helped. We're doing something different under Laura's help with Kristen Hall. We needed some help putting together some data and some logistics for our CAPTI testing. Franny and Joy helped lead a team of teachers. Franny's been here for 10 years, Joy for 5. They served as our middle school specialist. They are part of a dedicated team that partnered with our literacy team to coordinate logistics that required us to test over 200 students at the middle school. Once they were identified, Franny and Joy worked closely with grade level teams to design and implement a clear and organized plan. They help not only students but families understand the purpose of the assessment and what the growth meant. They were strategic, trying to keep students in the classroom as much as possible. We're excited for the results, but at a time when we truly needed help, Franny and Joy stepped up. It's something new, and it took courage to do that, to step up and work with their colleagues in that. We're looking forward to using this data and with helpful people like Joy and Franny to get in the field, work with teachers. We're excited about the difference that we can make. So a shout out to Joy and to Franny.
Also, one of my most favorite things about our board meetings once a month is the recognition piece, because it's fun to see and hear about all the great work being done. We always know there's good work, but being able to hear about it, and we know how heavy going through and testing out new curriculums are, and the people that lead that is huge, and it takes a lot of time in addition to their regular workday to do that, as well as other initiatives that we're pushing forward in the district. It takes leaders within our district to make that happen, and so we appreciate all the hard work you're doing. Thank you for sharing. All right, let's see, where are we at here? Okay, now we're on to item number 9, safe and healthy culture. I'd like to welcome up to the podium Director of Student Services, Sarah Welk, to go over the National School Social Worker Week.
Good evening, everyone. It was really appropriate that Eric's getting acknowledged tonight, because when I worked at the middle school as a social worker, Eric always said, man, if I had another career, Sarah, I'd be a social worker. So I think at the heart of who he is, he's definitely carried that his entire career, and It's very fitting in the relationships that he's built as a superintendent. And so at the heart of our school is, you know, you will always be a social worker we'll give you that, okay? So it's fitting just to have School Social Worker Week to acknowledge such a great group of people. We're going to celebrate the social workers, our school social workers, because they're the heart of our schools as well. They are friendly faces who make sure no student or family has to navigate challenges alone. We often say it takes a village, and our social workers are the ones who build those bridges between home and the classroom. They look at the whole picture, understanding that for a child to do their best in class, they first need to feel safe, feel heard, and supported at home and in their hearts. Whether they are offering a listening ear during a tough day or connecting a family with a much-needed resource, their compassion makes our entire district stronger. So to all of our social workers, thank you for your kindness and for the way you care for every kid, every day. We are so lucky to have that entire group. Thank you.
I'd like to echo that as well. Our social workers make such a big difference within our school system, and is why our schools are so successful, is because we make sure we're taking care of everybody at every level and all of the needs, and that job can be really difficult at times, and really heavy and hard, and their hearts are just huge, and they give everything to our students, and partnering with the families to make sure we're taking care of all of our students is, there's not enough thank yous that we can say. So thank you 100 times. Our social workers are an imperative part of our entire district. All right, now we're on to item B, approval of banking services provider and designation of official depository. I'd like to pass the podium or the microphone over to Director of Business Services, Tina Burkholder.
All right, good evening. We have tonight for approval to look at our banking services for the next couple months. Hopefully we'll transition over. In December, we issued a request for proposal on banking services. We have not done a formal banking RFP since I've been here, 2012. We have no issues with our current provider. I mean, I'm very well satisfied with their service. But with a recent webinar that I was at, there was just a lot of cybersecurity enhancements or fraud, anti-prevention type tools that we should consider and make sure we have the latest and greatest, because we want to make sure we're protecting our accounts and our assets. So with that, we sent RFPs out to all the banks in Monticello. We received 5 responses back from Premier Bank, U.S. Bank, CoreTrust Bank, Sherburne State Bank, and National Bank of Commerce. Through those reviews, we had interviews, and we also had platform demonstrations, and our committee consisted of myself, Amy Stahlbach, Zach Harry, and school member Jeff Hagley to keep us honest. And so we looked at all the interview materials, like I said, and the proposals. We looked at the overall pricing that the banks offered, the fraud and security, making sure we had the latest and greatest multi-factor authentication, and control limits, implementation and service, and just the core capabilities. For one thing, some companies have positive pay, where they look at the checks that come in and you make sure that there's no differences that are coming in, and you can verify, if they're matched, the name, the amount, and the date and everything, check number, and you let them go through if they all match. So it'll help us be more efficient and identify those things that are not matching. So based on that, the committee is recommending to approve National Bank of Commerce as our banking service provider, and also designate them as an institution of official depository that you guys tend to do in January.
I must say, if anybody ever wants to serve on that committee again, it's very exciting.
I do have to say, it was fun to listen to Jeff at Budget Committee, and he said, oh my goodness, that was intense and integrity filled. So just the process itself was pretty amazing, so thanks for putting forth that process, Tina. I know that's a lot of extra work. You and the committee and Jeff, being a captain.
I just listened.
Is there any questions from the board to Director Burkholder before we move on this action item?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Jeff Hegley, seconded by Casey Root. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Motion passes 5-0, and if you want to just stay right up there. Our next item on the agenda is our 2026-27 budget assumptions, and we're going to get briefed on that by Director Burkholder.
So in January, I presented a financial forecast and talked about different scenarios at our budget committee meeting. And so right now, we're at the stage where we approve our budget assumptions. It is a fluid process, though. There's a lot of unknowns still up in the air, but once some of those unknowns become known, I tend to update the forecast to kind of see where we're at financially. So, you know, through different budget committees, I'll keep the board updated on that. So with our general fund, we have the projected enrollment that I present in November, and that includes our co-op programs where students might flow in between co-op programs and Monty programs. But we also have our budget enrollment that determines our funding. So keep in mind, we got to keep away or take off the students that are in the co-op programs. And if you recall from our enrollment projections that we tend to lose students throughout the year. So I tend to shave off 2 to 3% at the secondary levels to account for that enrollment loss. So that is what is used on the budget side for enrollment and revenue purposes. Also with revenues, we know our general education aid is increasing 2.9%. The state finalized that in February. In statute, there is a minimum of 2% with a maximum of 3%. So the original forecast in January had it at 2%. So we got a little boost there at 2.69%. I'm assuming there's no changes in the legislative session, even though we did receive a more positive outlook with the state's forecast. You just never know if we're going to see additional revenue our way, but fingers crossed that we will. On the state special aid program, we have some program shifts from co-op to Monty, and next year will be our first year that we're receiving revenue with our ADSES program. So we should see additional dollars there. However, on our compensatory revenue side, we are seeing a projected decrease next year of $391,000 compared to our existing levels now. So we'll try to testify when we can to see if we can get a hold harmless for 1 year. But again, with the forecast and where the legislative session's at, you just never know what we can count on. And we have other grants that have been renewed under mentorship and intro to ed. So we'll see some additional revenue in those categories. On the expense side, we have tentatively right now projected 3 FTEs in certified retirements. We don't really have those in hand, so again, it's a fluid process, and as we know more, we'll just continue to just roll over the staffing that we have into the next year until we know those retirements. Our staffing is also based on enrollment adjustments each year, and then with special education staffing, we will based on projection needs, so we might see some shifts between buildings and an increase in day needs of about 0.2 FTE. Also, our salary and benefit changes will be based on settled contracts or budget parameters set by the school board. We also will be going into a health insurance bid year for 26-27. We tend to have competitive prices during that process, so hopefully we'll continue to see that during the next round. Other expenditures are non-salary, non-benefits, so supply or transportation costs should be anywhere from 0 to 10%. We won't borrow short-term because we still receive a good amount of aid during the year from the state, and that our total expenses will end up about 0.5% under budget. With our fund balance policy, we'll try to stick between that 8 to 16%. We'll continue to pay our committed severance payouts under our committed fund balance. And we have a budget alignment plan of $680,000, which includes our enrollment staffing adjustments. We'll also look at our our trust to utilize the employee retiree insurance costs. Depending on what the projected property tax increase will kind of be flexible on what will be under the trust and what will be under the property tax obligations. So here's the latest look at our forecast. I have in the reddish colors the minimum 8% fund balance, the blue with the 16%, and in peach you can see where the forecast is. So we will see a nice rise in our fund balance when you start seeing the operating referendum come in, but it drops pretty fast as our expenses are outpacing the projected revenue in the forecast, because again, we're using that minimum of 2%. So we just got to keep a watchful eye on our expenses and make sure we're kind of controlling what we can control each year. With the financial forecast, it's just estimates upon estimates, so you tend to drop fast in years 4 and 5, but we'll hopefully lean more on the positive side and make our operating referendum last through 30/31. So all that is our budget assumptions for now. Again, they will change as more knowns become known, and so just asking for approval to start guiding the initial phases of our budget process for next year.
Any questions from the board for Director Burkholder before we move on the budget assumptions? This is an action item.
So moved.
By Melissa Curtis, seconded by Casey Root. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you for always doing a diligent job with our budget.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll move on to our food service 2025 to 2028 master agreement. I'd like to welcome to the podium Director of Human Resources, Rob Daniker.
Chair Sieben, members of the board, Superintendent Olson, I'm excited to bring forward our third of 6 collective bargaining agreements for this year's round of negotiations. This is our food service employees agreement. This is a 3-year agreement. The unit was willing to consider moving from the traditional 2-year agreement to a 3-year agreement. One of the interests of the district in doing that was right now we have, as I mentioned, we have 6 units on cycle this year. Next year, we only have 3 units on cycle, and so this helps balance things in the long term. So that was very helpful for the unit to be open to that. As well, it allowed us to do some creative exercises in the financial aspect of this agreement as well. So a tentative agreement was reached regarding the 2025 to 28 master agreement with the food service employees on Tuesday, January 27th, 2026. The agreement was ratified today. So earlier today, I got notified by the unit that they had approved. That's why it was on the agenda, but it was not hyperlinked until this afternoon. The district administration recommends that the Board of Education approve this agreement. The essentials of this 3-year agreement are as follows. Year 1, which is July 1, 2025 through this calendar, June 30th of 2026, I should say. The wage scale is set to increase on all cells at 0.9% in year 1, retroactive to July 1st, 2025. There's no increase on insurance or on longevity in year 1. In year 2, wage scale would go up 1.0, an increase of $30 per month on both single and family contributions in terms of group insurance for year 2, but no increase on longevity in year 2. And then in year 3, the wage scale would go up on an increase of all cells of 3%. No increase on insurance in year 3, and no increase on longevity in year 3 as well. In terms of language items, we did make some modifications in terms of uniform, increase the non-skid shoe allowance from $75 to $100 per year. We also revised and amended the list of uniform items allocated to employees upon hire and also on completion of their probationary period. In terms of catering work, we clarified that the district does require certain licenses necessary to be awarded that catering work, and that's for food safety purposes. Sick leave, we did increase the sick leave allocation in the contract from 9 days to 10 days per year. On personal leave, we did add some restrictions, and so we limited the use of personal leave to 1 individual per kitchen per day, and also limiting personal leave during the first 2 weeks and the final 2 weeks of the school year for ease of service and continuity. In terms of holidays, we did increase the number of holidays in this contract from 8 to 9 per year, beginning with the 26-27 school year, or year 2 of the agreement. On job posting, we amended the certification requirement for head cooks and second cooks from ServSafe, which is identified in the contract currently, to the more broad or general Minnesota Certified Food Production Manager license, which could include ServSafe as well as other licenses. Deferred matching contribution, we saw the same language in the custodial agreement last week. It amends the deadline to enroll annually in deferred matching contribution plans to align with the annual group insurance open enrollment deadline, so no firm date in the contract, but a date would be established annually by the school district. Schedule E, this is a new schedule in the contract. It adds the current SNA certification differential memorandum of agreement to the contract as Schedule E. It also amends the differential from an annual stipend to an hourly differential, but there's no functional increase in what the total amount is that can be earned. And then there's 2 new appendices that are added to the contract. Appendix 2 is an MOU regarding second cook interviews. We note that the district has agreed to include at least 1 member of the unit to be included on interview committees for second cook positions through the term of the contract, which is June 30th, 2028. This ends previous past practice regarding interview process for second cooks. Previously, they went to bumping, and the district terminated that past practice. And then Appendix 3 is an MOU regarding cooks helper interviews. The district has agreed to permit cooks helper positions to continue to use an internal bumping protocol in lieu of in-person interviews for the duration of the agreement, again through June 30th of 2028. This is no functional change to current past practice, however. Finally, the total package value over the, I should say 3 years, excuse me, over the 3-year term of the agreement is 6.56 according to the MSBA costing model. I'll take any questions that the board might have on this agreement.
Any questions?
This is an action item.
Second.
Moved by Jeff Hegley, seconded by Casey Root. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Motion passes 5-0. And Dr. Daneker, if you just want to stay right up there and go right into our next item on the agenda, first reading of policy.
Happy to do so. So this month we had a very energetic and robust conversation in our policy committee meeting. We covered 7 policies in total. We also discussed various other items as relevant as well. And so the first policy for us to review this evening is Policy 101. Excuse me. So the first 5 policies coming forward to the board tonight are part of our review cycle. We do have a 3-year review cycle for all of our policies. We are actually entering with Policy 101, we're entering our 3rd of those 3 years, which means that we're 5 months ahead of schedule right now. So in terms of the efficient operations of the policy committee, we're doing very good. Policy 101 is the legal status of the school district. The purpose of this policy is a primary principle of this nation is that the public welfare demands an educated and informed citizenry. The power to provide for public education is a state function vested in the state legislature and delegated to local school districts. The purpose of this policy is to clarify the legal status of the school district. There was not many substantive changes, actually no substantive changes to this policy. But it came forward as part of our review process. The last time it was reviewed, it was 2017. Any questions on Policy 101? Okay. Moving to, we did review Policy 102. There were absolutely no changes recommended for Policy 102, but we will note it for historical purposes as having been reviewed tonight by the Policy Committee. The next policy for first read tonight is 103, complaints, students, employees, parents, other persons. The purpose of this policy is the school district takes seriously all concerns or complaints by students, employees, parents, or other persons. If a specific complaint procedure is provided within any other policy of the school district, the specific procedure shall be followed in reference to such complaint. If a specific complaint procedure is not provided, the purpose of this policy is to provide a procedure that may be used. Again, no significant changes to this policy. And the last time the board reviewed it was, or revised, excuse me, was 2013. Any questions on 103? Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to 401. This is the equal employment opportunity policy. The purpose of this policy is to provide equal employment opportunity for all applicants for school district employment and for all school district employees. Again, minor changes as part of our review cycle on this one. The last time the board revised this was 2018. The most significant change this evening was that we amended the policy as required according to the MSBA template to include that the Director of Human Resources is the person that any person having a question regarding this policy is directed to. Any questions on 401 at all? Okay. Moving forward to policy 402. This is our disability non-discrimination policy. Once again, brought forward as part of our review cycle. The most recent time this was reviewed by the school board was 2016. And again, the most significant change was including the name, title of the person that individuals should contact with concerns regarding disability non-discrimination and their contact information. Any questions regarding 402? Okay. Two more, 403. This is discipline, suspension, and dismissal of school district employees. The purpose of this policy is to achieve effective operation of the school district's program through the cooperation of all employees under a system of policies and rules applied fairly and uniformly. Once again, no significant changes to this policy are being proposed. It was last reviewed in 2017. Any questions on 403? Okay, and then our last policy is one that came forward through interest of the board and the superintendent and others in the leadership positions for the district. This is policy 904, distribution of materials on school district property by non-school persons. The purpose of this policy is to provide for distribution of materials appropriate to the school setting by non-staff and non-students on school district property in a reasonable time, place, and manner which does not disrupt the educational program nor interfere with the educational objectives of the school district. In this case, it was noted by various individuals involved with our policy committee that the guidelines, which are included in the policy, include a statement that reads as follows: requests for distribution of materials will be reviewed by the administration on a case-by-case basis. However, distribution of the following materials is always prohibited. And the policy committee noted that there was a glaring exception in the guidelines that we are attempting to fill. And so it is proposed as item number 7 on that list of guidelines. It reads as follows: materials prohibited that constitutes materials intended to advocate for or against a candidate for public office, political party, or ballot question. Prohibited materials include, but are not limited to, flyers, brochures, pamphlets, campaign signs, banners, electronic or digital campaign materials, petitions intended to influence electoral outcomes, and any other materials that promote or oppose a political campaign, candidate, political organization, or ballot initiative. And again, that prohibition would extend to any school activities, district activities that take place. The school district would not be in a position to restrict the speech of private entities that rented district space, however, for example. Okay. And so that is the totality of the recommended change for 904. Any questions on policy 904 at all? All right. This is for first read, no action tonight. Chair Sieben.
All right, thank you, Director Daniker, and I'd like to just echo what he said as well, where he alluded to the fact that we have a lot of robust discussion. I'm very proud of our policy committee. We do some awesome work, I think, in protecting our district and taking care of our students and our staff. So I want to thank you for all those that are at the table, helping create some of this to make sure we're taken care of. All right, thank you. All right, that brings us to adjournment of this regular school board meeting at 5:44 on March 2nd. Our next school board meeting will be March 16th at 6 p.m. and we will be following this meeting with a work session. Have a great evening.